Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I decided to do something a little bit different and brought Audrey on.
Hello, hey.
Audrey has been my best friend for how many years has it been?
Oh God, since like 2009.
You got like static.
Like going wild crazy hair right now.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm making sure that our audio is still going. But yeah, since like 2009.
Yeah, I'd say that's when my sister met your brother.
I was gonna say, tell the story of how we became best friends.
Yeah, so my older sister, Erica, was dating Brooke's older brother, Ryan.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't know how they met. I think probably through like mutual friends or something.
Probably. Or social media.
Yeah, what was that, MySpace back then?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. And then they decided that they wanted to go on a trip to Cedar Point, and Eric was like, Audrey, do you want to come? Because Ryan's got a sister named Brooke, your age. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And then we just were inseparable for like those first like 5 years.
Yeah.
And then we kind of like did the whole like went to college and like all that stuff and kind of like went our own ways for a little bit. And then we got reconnected, and I mean, we've always been connected. I wouldn't say like we, disconnected in like time frame there, but we've always like have been really good friends.
Yeah, I know. I remember when they were planning the Cedar Point trip, they were really pushing for us to be like best friends because they were young too. They were in high school, so they were just like young and they thought they were like in love and they wanted their families to love each other too. And they were right. I mean, we had a lot in common.
We did, yeah.
And so we went to Cedar Point, and it was really awkward, like when we went to Cedar Point, because we didn't really know each other, and they were like forcing us to be best friends.
Yeah, and you and I are both like shy.
Yeah.
So it was like, what do I say? Like, because like I wanted to be friends with you. I thought you were so cool. And then I think by the end of it, we were just like, because we had to ride all the rides together. So at that point, we kind of had some time to really talk.
Do you know what memory I remember from Cedar Point? You were wearing a hoodie that said Tough Cookie on it. Do you remember this story?
No, I don't.
I think we were going on so at Cedar Point, there's like a ski lift that takes you from the front of the park to the back of the park. And also, like, I'm terrified of heights and I hate ski lifts, even though I'm getting accustomed to them now because we're snowboarding. But I was so nervous going on those ski lifts. And also, my brother Adam and his friend Eric were with us. And Eric was acting wild and, like, shaking the cart because he knew I was, like, scared. But anyways, the Tough Cookie thing, I think we were, like, running up to try and make it in line. And some guy turned around and was like, you're a tough cookie. It was, like, really weird.
Just that strange, like, man interaction.
Yeah.
As a teenager.
But he clearly just wanted to talk to you because you're really pretty.
Oh, doubt it. I was like
No, we were
creepy as a child then.
Guys, back in the day, Audrey and I were low-key, like, if we would have kept on the same track that we were back when we were 15 years old, we probably would be famous on social media right now.
At least we would have tried very hard to be.
Oh, and here's us trying to make up for lost time.
Yeah, hours and hours just spent in Brooke and mine's room just doing our hair and getting like makeup ready to take MySpace pictures, which I know some of you girls relate to because that was all we did.
Yeah.
We jam out to the jukebox. Not the jukebox, but the those big box
radios.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had my pink one. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So we would coordinate, like we literally would look up the itinerary for the summer and we'd be like, okay, Wyandotte fireworks are this weekend, Allen Park fireworks are this weekend, and then we would plan it and we would literally get together like the morning of, even though the fireworks didn't start until like 7 or 8 p.m. and we would just take photos and do our hair and our makeup, and we were like we've always been pretty trendy, like with the trends.
Yeah, I'd like to think so.
Yeah, and we tried, like, we would tease our hair, like, super big. And we always did the wing liner, which never went away.
Oh, yeah, because that was in MySpace days. It was all short layers and teased hair.
Yeah, which, by the way, we also would cut our hair, like...
Which I feel like we got pretty good at, since we always did.
Yeah. We've always been pretty good at hair, honestly. You got like actual shears and you would cut it.
Oh yeah, just layers and layers and layers. I love the layered look. It was just like, because we'd always go on, it was like going back to MySpace again. It was just, that's where we were so influenced by, was MySpace days.
Yeah.
And like scenes, like, you know, like that scene core was like very like in. And so it was short layers, teased hair, neon leggings, or jeans actually. I don't think leggings were a thing yet, but it was neon
jeans,
neon skinny jeans.
Oh, I don't remember that. I don't think I ever had neon skinny jeans.
Really?
I did have skinny jeans though, but I remember like us thrifting, like going to the thrift store and getting jeans and like cutting them into shorts.
Yeah, we definitely did that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we maybe, like, at the time, I think I was at the movie theaters, and I was making, like, $100 a week.
Yeah.
I'd only work, like, the weekends, so, and back then it was, like, $7.25 an hour was minimum wage.
Were we even working when we first met, though? Because we were, like, 15. Because I remember getting my driver's license, and you were the first person that I drove in the car with by myself.
Maybe it was, I know I was working at, I was a hostess.
Okay, well, yeah, then I was working at Dairy Queen. Yeah, we didn't, I mean, but we made money, but we were like...
We just borrowed $20 from our parents real quick. Because we would do trips to the mall and movies all the time, so we had to get money from somewhere, if it wasn't a job.
Yeah. So, okay, we wanted to talk about different topics, like women topics. So we actually searched on ChatGPT some topics, and I hope my audio doesn't cut out now because I'm going, okay, we're good. And I want to see if I remember, because I can't remember exactly what we were going to talk about now that I'm thinking about it. Do you remember?
Controversial topics. Trying to spice things up and not talk about just your normal everyday topics. We're going to kind of get a little down and dirty with these and honestly give just our full, true, honest opinions.
Okay, I remember one topic. The topic is making girlfriends and just also dealing with like jealous girls. I know Audrey really dealt with this growing up because, of course, you're gorgeous. And
thanks. So
I feel like a lot of girls like were intimidated by you. You were always like getting the guys and they just kind of looked at Audrey as like a target. You know what I mean? I feel like you still deal with this today because you've even like vented to me about it.
Yeah, like I don't, growing up, I had dealt with my fair share of bullies, and to kind of start it out, it was more so just like social settings, like, back in the day, like I was a very prude child. Like I never wanted to experiment with any kind of like drinking or like drugs in high school because I had very strict parents, as you know, because you did the same. One of our similarities, but so I was at a party and they were like really like peer pressuring me into like try to drink, and I just didn't want to. This is kind of like a little off topic. We're gonna get into like bullying.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like where it started, and then like my friend who I was really close with for many years like just turned on me because she thought I was going to say something to her mom, which it never ended up happening, and so she bullied me on pure just statement, not an actual fact, or from what she heard from someone.
I never heard this story.
Yeah. That's how I like it was shortly after, before I met you actually, that this all happened. And then I like literally had no friends, and I was like just always by myself at school, and I just kind of kept to myself because I didn't want to be involved in like these big girl groups, because like girls, especially in like middle school, high school, are like so they're nasty. Like they have just like the one girl that I was friends with for a while, she just always, her number one thing is being popular. And so if she's seen any like other like pretty girl or something that would get in her way, she would say and sabotage that girl as much as she possibly could just to like get that one step up on the ladder to get her to that popular status.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I want to get too deep into that, but continuing out of high school, I work as a brand ambassador, and I work with another modeling agency, and I work with like other beautiful girls like all the time. And a lot of the girls that I've met are really awesome, and they're super sweet and super nice. But then there's always that one girl that just you can tell. Yeah. She's just as like, I don't know if she just got a lot of hate in her heart or what, but she just was so nasty to me for no reason. And I think it was just the sole fact that she didn't like that I could be as pretty as she is, or, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
or you could get more opportunities than her.
Possibly.
Yeah.
But she was just mean to me. And I'm like, dude, I've given you absolutely no, like, legit reason for you to be a bitch. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So, you know, I kind of just try to keep away from people who are like that. You know, if I was, you know, did something nasty to you, like, then you have a justified reason to hate me. But if I'm just like being nice and going out of my way just to like be nice to you, and you're turning around and being a mean bitch or just a mean girl, like, I don't know, I'm not gonna waste my time on you, because there's so many other girls who are actually gonna be genuine and nice and honest and care, you know.
Okay, let's go back to when you were saying in high school how you felt like you didn't have any friends because everybody like turned on you. Because we both were super quiet in high school, middle school, high school. We were just quiet, right? Yeah. So you being a quiet girl, but also like beautiful, and they're mad at you because you're beautiful and they're not talking to you. Like, how did you deal with that? Did you not want to go to school? Did you? I
mean, it was definitely awkward to go into school, because the whole situation was I shared a locker with this girl who was my best friend. And then when she thought she knew that I was going to, or did say something to her mom, it never actually happened. But she just destroyed everything of mine in the locker and like threw all of my stuff everywhere. And it was honestly traumatizing at that age, because, you know, like being like 14, 15, like your whole world revolves around like school and like talking to your friends. And so like before then, like I was on a cheerleading squad, and you know, all of us girls then were super close because we had to see each other every single day, and we're working together for hours, you know, trying to get these routines right. But those were all my friends at the time. And so like the mean girl, she kind of like turned everyone else against me, and like they didn't like come at me like spitefully, but they kind of just stopped talking to me altogether. So I was left by myself in like class, and like my friend who I'd usually like partner up with, you know, wasn't really talking to me. And so you know, it was hard, but I did a lot of journaling. Like that's what really helped me really get my emotions out. You know, I would come home and I would have my bad days where I'd like cry, and like, you know, my mom's so sweet, and she would come and talk to me about it and stuff. So she knows a lot of my secrets from back in high school and middle school. But yeah, journaling, I've been journaling since I got my first journal from my 4th grade teacher, and that just like inspired me just to write down like how I was feeling that day, and like giving just like an entry of like how are things going in my life, and you know what I'm doing and what kind of social circles I'm in. And then like I remember writing this all down, and recently I took a look back at it, because when I was writing up your maid of honor proposal, I went back to that time, and I had that, you know, right around 2009 like journal entry of like when I met you, and like how I was so happy because I finally had another like a friend who was so nice. And so you really helped me come out of like a dark time.
That makes me want to cry. So I wish I journaled like you did. I don't think back then I really realized that like you were journaling as much as you did.
All the time.
Dude,
every night.
Also too, my mom read that journal entry. Well, not the journal entry, but Audrey had asked me to be her maid of honor, and she had wrote you know, just this nice story or whatever. My mom read it, and my mom was like tearing up. It was like the cutest thing ever.
Love Tina.
I didn't realize back then that you were dealing, like, you know, it was that rough in school. I don't think you, like, shared how rough it was, because Audrey and I went to different schools. So I went to a school that was probably, like, 15 minutes away from you. But I do remember we wanted to switch schools so bad.
Yeah.
Like, that was another thing we had in common right away when we first met. It was like we hated the school we went to because, backstory on me, like, I was really shy. Oh, did my necklace? Oh, yeah, it's like unattaching. Like, did I lose it? Backstory on me, I was like really shy in middle school, and I also wasn't like the most attractive girl in middle school. I'd say.
Right.
No, but my glow up was like freshman year. Like, definitely like going into high school is when guys started noticing me, because in middle school I was never really noticed by guys. It wasn't like, oh, Brooke's like hot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you were also like a cheerleader, and you were
but I wasn't the popular cheerleader.
Neither was I.
Well, so I got my braces off, and I kind of like went through this transformation, and it's funny because I actually did switch schools. So you and I kind of met like our 8th grade year going into freshman.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I switched schools. So my mom worked at a different school district, and she switched me to this new school district. I should have got water. And the plan was for Audrey to come over. I don't know why you didn't switch.
I was honestly probably scared, because that's a huge change. You had known some people, but you had your mom there.
I knew some people just from social media, thinking I'm stupid. I'm thinking they're going to be my friends, and immediately no. Like, it was awful going to that new school. I had basically what Audrey had. I had this girl who was jealous of the fact that I was talking to this guy. He was like obsessed with me, and it was her man apparently. And so then people wanted to like, I remember like this guy texted me. He was like, I heard you were sending photos. Like, I've never sent a photo to anybody. Like, even to this day, like, even my boyfriend's, like, never sent photos. So he was, like, saying, like, you sent photos, or I need to go get some water real quick. Hold on. Hiatus.
Pause.
Okay, so he was like, yeah, I heard you sent photos or something like that. I don't know, but they were like bullying me essentially. And I hated it. Like, at this school also, it was kind of a smaller cafeteria. So the 10th and 11th graders, or no, yeah, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders were allowed to leave the cafeteria and go like get lunch like at restaurants around the school. If you're a freshman, you weren't allowed to.
Mm-hmm. That was an awesome perk.
Well, I was a freshman. And
so go.
The people that I would hang out with or try to spend time with, like, please be my friend, they would leave for lunch. Like, they would sneak out and leave for lunch. So it was either I snuck out with them and left for lunch and risked getting in trouble, even though my mom worked for the school district, or I just sat there by myself at lunch and, like, I was super embarrassed sitting by myself.
Yeah.
And so I do remember going with them, like, leaving for lunch. But I only lasted at that school for probably, like, a month or 2 months.
Super short-lived. Super short-lived.
Yeah, and then I remember when I came back to my old school district, the high school, people were like, I don't even, like, know who you are. Like, Brooke, she went to middle school with us. What do you mean? Like, I don't remember you. Like, that's how much I changed.
Really? I mean, I know you and I really just started getting, like, heavily invested into our looks, obviously, because we were getting ready for 2-3 hours at a time.
Yeah.
But I also think that's also, like, the stage when you, like, the age where you start experimenting with your look, you know? So that's crazy that, like, you went to a whole different school, came back to your old school, and people were like, Brooke, damn, look at you, glow up.
It pretty much was like that. And then you and I started hanging out, and we would go to each other's, like, football games, like, your school's football games and my school's football games, and people would look at us and be like, I don't know, at least in my mind, it was like, oh, there's Audrey and Brooke.
We had our own little, like, group, just us.
Yeah, and everybody wanted to be part of it. And I remember going to fireworks, and someone randomly came up to you and like, are you Audrey Narowski?
Oh my gosh.
Do you remember that?
It felt like a yeah,
Yeah, I literally thought we were celebrities back then.
Well,
we're like delusional.
School, very delulu. But I mean, back then, like, you know, when you're going to different schools and stuff, like, you know, you would hop on MySpace and be like, oh, who's this girl? Who's she hanging? Oh, she's hanging out with Brooke, or she's hanging out with Audrey, and like then they do the research and be like,
oh yeah, I'll get stuck in like, I don't even know, like dark holes of, not even dark, what am I trying to say? Rabbit holes. I would get in rabbit holes. Like I would look at somebody's thing and then I would find somebody that commented and then I look at their pictures and like, I don't feel like social media is like that anymore.
I definitely still think it is. I mean, I feel like, I mean, if you want to find and search someone, you just gotta know the right person, then you can find them on their profile and do the digging.
I don't think I'm like super interested in finding out about people like I was back then. Maybe because back then when I like had a little boy crush, I would see like if any girls were commenting or liking their stuff and then I would go look. But now I'm like, I don't do that. You know what I mean?
Just don't care enough.
Yeah.
Back then it was like your whole life, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was, oh my gosh, so long ago. It's been 11 years that we've been out of high school.
Yeah. It was a 10-year anniversary or 10-year reunion that I didn't go to this year. So
my school apparently had one, but I was out of the state anyway, so didn't end up going to that either.
Yeah, so what's your advice to maybe if some high schoolers are watching this right now and they're dealing with what you dealt with? What is some advice that you give them?
You know, there's girls who are mean to you solely for the fact that you're pretty. Obviously, I would not hang around those girls anymore because you're just wasting your time on people like that when you can find your best friend. And honestly, being by yourself is not a big deal. It might feel like that in high school because that's your whole world, but you'll get out of high school and you realize that none of those people are honestly better than you in any way. Honestly, those people end up only peaking in high school, and then after that, they're not all great.
You can say that again. Yeah.
So that would be my advice. Stick true to yourself and...
there goes that camera. We'll just get this one.
Yeah, just stick to who you are. And, you know, high school is very short-lived. So just find the people who are going to be nice to you and be honest and genuine. And those are going to be the people who you'll end up being lifelong friends with. So,
yeah, I would kind of give the same advice. I think it's kind of cool to be independent and be on your own. Back then, I would look at it like it was embarrassing. Like I didn't have any friends and I would be ashamed of it.
Yeah.
But now, like, if you can be alone, you can survive alone and love yourself, then that is like the most powerful thing ever. Like you don't ever want to be dependent on anybody. Yeah. And so I know like sitting at the cafeteria, like at a table by yourself is not the most like enjoyable thing, but I don't know, just embrace it. Like don't come off like you're ashamed of it, just act confident.
Yeah,
look at your phone, watch some podcasts, watch this podcast.
Podcast, YouTube, whatever.
Yeah. And just like own being alone and doing things by yourself. Like I love going shopping by myself, and I love living by myself now.
Yeah, I do a lot of things by myself, and before I always used to like rely heavily on like who am I gonna ask to go to the store with, you know, like or go run errands, like who can I be with? But I think it's you know healthy to have time for yourself, because then you start putting yourself in situations when you're alone and you're like, oh shoot, how am I gonna react to this? And you really start to develop like your main character energy. Yeah. And become more self-sufficient and independent, which is good.
Truly, I agree 100%. You talked about earlier how our parents were a little strict on us.
Yeah.
And I want to touch on that because I truly feel like my friends did not have strict parents. Like, I was the only one with strict parents. And then when Audrey came in my life, I was like, finally, there's somebody else that has parents that treat them like my parents do to me.
Like, she understands. Like, it was, I don't know, because when I was friends with all those cheerleaders who, you know, were going out and partying and, like, had very, like, laid-back, nonchalant parents, and mine were just like, no, you're not doing that. You can't go there. You can't have a boy over. You can't go on a date. Like, you gotta have, like, a group of friends to go out to hang out with a boy. Yeah. that was, like, embarrassing.
Yeah.
I didn't want to, like, be the only person not going to this party because my parents told me so.
Yeah.
But I was also very afraid of my parents in, like, a good way. But it was something I didn't want to, like, go behind their back and do it because I knew my mom would always find out.
Yeah.
Like, detective. She always knew.
Yeah.
Even if I tried to, like, lie, she always knew. Always knew.
That's so true. My parents always found out too. Okay, so tell us kind of like what the rules were for you. Like, because your parents weren't, like, they were strict, but they weren't strict, like, religious strict in that way.
Yeah, like, I still had some freedom, but it was more just so, like, I just think they didn't want to have a teen pregnant daughter, So it was mainly just around, like, boys. Like, I can't go on my first date until I'm 16. I can't have a boy over until I'm 16. Like, it always had to be, like, supervised if it was. That was basically kind of more so that, and like I was still able to go over to my friend's house who had super laid back parents, but like my family was always just kind of like, don't drink, don't smoke, don't do this, or we're gonna find out and we're gonna ground you, like more so like that. But it wasn't anything like extremely serious. Like I couldn't wear like certain clothes, or like I couldn't, I don't know, whatever. That's like I had to pray every single day before bed. Like it was. It was just more so like they just wanted to protect me from the boys.
But I remember us having curfews, though. That was one thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, curfews were huge because when I got my first boyfriend in high school, I was a freshman, and he actually had dropped out of high school. But he was in the trades, so he was already making really good money, and it didn't make sense for him to continue high school in his mind. But he was a little older than me. I think maybe he was like a year older than me. A year or two. He wasn't that much older than me. But his parents, they were more laid back, right? And my parents weren't. And I remember a lot of girls, like his friends, like their girlfriends would stay the night with them, and like they pretty much lived together. They kind of had like broken families, Yeah. But for me, I could never spend the night at his house ever. Or like even if we were going to his cousin's graduation, that was like they lived 2 or 3 hours away. Like I was really nervous to ask my mom if I could even go because I would have to stay the night at their house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I had a curfew even when I was a senior in high school. I remember.
Oh yeah, me too. It was at I think like 10 or 11.
Well, on the weekends, I had to be home at 1:30.
Dang, that's nice.
I think, was it 12th grade, or was it even after I graduated high school? I think they still gave me that curfew. Like, honest to God, it was always, like, a known thing to my parents and me that, like, I had to be home at 1:30. And I didn't break that until I was probably, like, in my mid-20s. Like, I always just came home at 1:30.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to touch on, because I feel like our parents kind of put these rules on us, right? And then we just always became really accustomed to like what they wanted us to do. So it's kind of, for me at least, it was really hard for me to like break that. And still to this day, I'm 29 years old, it's hard for me to do things that my parents like don't agree with.
Ooh, like give it an example.
Well, my example. But it's actually a lot of things. Like my parents have very like strong feelings towards weddings, like getting married in a church. They have strong feelings about living with a significant other before you're married. Children out of wedlock. I mean, they're more open to it now, but I think when it was happening, like when I was in high school and girls were getting pregnant.
Oh yeah, it was huge. Like 16 and Pregnant was on MTV. Like it seemed like there was probably like 4 girls in my high school class that were pregnant during high school. And
I remember my dad being like, "What? They're pregnant?" And like I remember in my mind thinking like, this is real life. Like, you know what I mean? Like like this happens. Like why are you so shocked? You know what I mean? Like in my mind I was almost so irritated because it was like, why are you judging? Like things don't always have to be the way that you think they should be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, their parents ingrained their certain, ways of life on our parents, and then they want to have like a similar kind of upbringing for us. And so it's like this I don't know what you would call it, just like this family line of...
It's your truths.
Yeah, family truths just being passed on from generation to generation. And now, like, honestly, I think I would be the same with my kids as my parents were on me, because, like, I'm, you know, at the time hated it, you know? I couldn't go out and do stuff with my friends, but looking back on it, I really think it really shaped me into being, like, a really good functioning member of society, and just, you know, putting certain, I don't know. I guess just more so just like understanding where my priorities are, and it shouldn't just be, you know, focused on like my social groups. Like I should have more focus on like my career and like what I want to do with my life. And so I think it just had good character building from the start, having strict parents, but not overly strict parents. You know, just that nice happy medium. Yeah. So like you don't end up 16 and pregnant. You know, I think that was really it.
Don't mind that. That's just my furnace. Gosh. It sounds literally like an alarm's going off. It's gonna be loud.
Doomsday alarm. That's what it sounds like.
So, yeah. And then the biggest thing recently was, well, my parents have always been against cosmetic surgeries. I've never had like cosmetic surgery, but I've had filler, and my parents were so against that, right? But I didn't start getting it until I moved out. When I first moved out. Then when I moved back in with my parents, I didn't get it, because every time I would get it, it was like a huge thing. Like I could tell they hated it. They would always like, kind of low-key yell at me for it.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of parents are, you know, our kid's perfect. They don't need to be changing their face.
They would like make me feel like guilty in a way, like you're spending money on fillers, but you don't spend money on like rent, you know?
I mean, you were living on your own, so
no, when I moved back.
Oh, okay.
So I like stopped doing it. But I always show pictures to my mom. I'm like, Mom, like look at me when I was 16 years old. Like, where the heck were my lips? I had no lips. And I would always try and like, I guess like show my mom like, don't I look better? Like, wink wink. Like I want to get it done again. But okay, so recently, I've always really wanted to get a nose job. I wanted to get it.
Which blows my mind because your nose is perfect, but go on.
So this side is my good side. This side is not my good side. But, yeah, my nose is like, was asymmetrical? Like, do you notice how like one side of your face looks completely different than the other profile?
Yeah, I have one cheek. I did the inverted camera, and I like my one cheek that I always sleep on, like my side, is so much more flat than the other. Yeah, it's weird, but yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, so I had a consultation when I was living on my own the first time with a doctor, and my brother was getting married that year, and also like the amount of money that they wanted for it was like outrageous at the time. I also knew my mom was totally against it, so I was kind of a little bit scared to like schedule the appointment, you know. And the doctor, like, he was backed up. He wouldn't be able to do my surgery for like a year, which was like insane.
They usually are.
So I was like, okay, let me just think about it, because I had the money to do it, but at the same time, like, I know my mom's not totally like backing me on it, and so like I just want to think about it. And then, like, fast forward, like, a couple months later, I lost my job. And so then I was, like, totally not in a space to even, like, schedule the surgery. And so I just kind of, like, let it go. I actually got filler in my nose, though. But I don't want to do it again, because I just feel like filler can, like, start drooping your face.
Yeah, it starts to, like, expand your skin, and then that will start to sag, and, yeah.
Yeah, like, when it dissolves. And so, okay, it sounds crazy when I say it, but like, I've been seeing girls get like surgeries done in Turkey, okay? And I know 2 girls specifically that have gotten their nose done in Turkey. They had good experiences from what I've heard. The cost is significantly lower. Yeah. Their noses look amazing. Like, I love the work of the doctor or the surgeons in Turkey, and I don't feel like I know of any surgeons in America that do noses the way that they do it. I just can't explain it, but their noses look different, like their surgeries.
like how they do it is different.
Yeah, like the shape of the nose looks different. Like here in America, I feel like they're more natural, and you don't really get that slope, like cute nose. It's more of just like a straight, you know.
Yeah.
They like maybe remove the hump, but they don't like go the extra mile to like make your nose look like super
like
slopey.
that princess, like
yeah,
Tinkerbell nose.
yeah. And so anyways, I was like, you know what, let me just, I reached out to my friend, or the girl that had gotten it done, and I was like, who's your surgeon? She gave me his social media handle. I went on his Instagram, and you can click the WhatsApp chat and like talk to them about, it was like a consultation through WhatsApp. And I was like, oh, cool. So I did it, and he gave me the pricing. They could freaking do the surgery within like 4 months. Like literally, wow, I could get it done in 4 months, and it was like 1/3 of the cost of what it would cost here in America.
Because I hear like when you go to Turkey, like they provide a lot.
Oh yeah, listen to this.
Price.
You only pay for your flight there. The surgery literally covers, mind you, the surgery was $3,500. Here in America, I think I got quoted for $8,000, and that was 4 years ago. 3-4 years ago. It would be way more now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The surgery, that $3,500 literally covers, once you land in Turkey, it covers a taxi from the airport to the hotel and the hospital, right? So you have like a taxi person. The hotel they put you up into, and this is not just what they say, like this is what I've heard from like the girls have gotten it done, like super like high-end hotel. You have like a bedside nurse. You stay in the hospital for 1 day after the surgery, and then you have a nurse that literally caters to you at the hotel. For I think it's like 5 days you have to stay there. Yeah, and then one of the girls, she's like, I loved Turkey. My mom and I just ended up extending our stay and staying there. Like, it was so nice. And plus, everybody gets work done in Turkey, so I wasn't like the only one walking around with the cast, so I didn't feel weird, you know?
Yeah, I hear of like a lot of people just going there instead of, you know, getting the surgeries done in America because of the price difference, and like what you get is like so much for like the price you pay. But I don't know, like I know like you have to do your own research on like which doctor you think is going to like be the best. Yeah. But always just like in the back of my mind is like, oh my god, what if I get botched? Like what if he fucks up and then I have to look at this nose I paid $10,000 for, you know? Like
I don't think of botched. That's not my fear. My fear is I've never had surgery before, and going under freaks me out. It's like, what if I'm actually not under and I can feel everything, or if I like wake up while they're doing the surgery, or like even worse, like I lose a ton of blood and I don't make it out of like the surgery,
dying. Yeah.
And
a risk.
So I brought it up to my parents, and I didn't tell them about Turkey. I told them about the surgery first. And they were not on board. But then after a day of arguing with them, it seemed like they were kind of like, whatever, like, you want to do this surgery? Like, no, like, we didn't agree with it. But it was more of like they were coming to terms the fact that I wanted to get this surgery and like, whatever. But then my mom's like, so like, what doctors? And then I didn't even have to tell her. Like, she knew because, again, I plant seeds in my mom's ear. Like, I always do it. Like, yeah. So I looked back at her and I kind of have a smirk on my face, and she was like, you are crazy. She's like, I don't even want to hear it. Like, I know what you're going to say. So my mom, like, and I have this telepathy, and she literally knew it was Turkey. So then when I told her Turkey, she's like, no, you are not going out of the country and getting this surgery done. Like, your dad and I will not, like, first off, they don't even want to be there because they don't agree with the surgery. But if I end up scheduling it, she probably would be there. But she couldn't go to Turkey, you know?
Yeah, right.
And, yeah, so my parents always think the worst. Like, that's the Middle East. You can't go, don't you know there's war going on over there? And it's like, it's not right there.
It's not, like, right in the war line of sight, you know? But I get it, you know? But parents are, like, I don't know. And I guess... So, going back to, like, the telepathy thing, like, you and your mom just knew. Yeah. So, I have 2 sisters, and so me, my mom, my 2 sisters, we have this weird thing, and it happens, but, like, and I know why my mom always knew what I was getting into as a kid, because she could just read my mind. She knows just how I am, but, like, there's times where, like, I've, like, had something weird happen to me, or I thought of like, there would be times where I just think about my grandma, and then I'll like put it in a like our, because we have a group chat between all 4 of us, and I'll put it in the group chat, and then, not kidding you, like 2 out of the 3 will be like, I was thinking the exact same thing, or there's times where like we all thought the same thing, or like just recently, me and my older sister Erica, we celebrated our birthday together, and out of all the cards that you can pick at Target, me and Elaine picked the exact same card for Erica.
Oh, no.
Is that not weird?
Well, it goes back to your truths. It's funny. It's like, you know, your mom raised all of you guys the same.
Yeah.
And you guys were around, like, what your mom's style was. And so you kind of pick up on that, and that's probably why.
Yes, but it's freaky sometimes. Like, oh my God, that just gave me the chills.
Well, did you ever, like, go out to dinner with your family, and you guys would, like, order the same food? Like, all of you guys? Not all of you, but, like, you guys had, like, the same taste in, like, cuisine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, usually. I mean, my mom, she always cooked dinner. But it was, like, back then, it was always, like, chicken, rice, and vegetables, like, every day. And we'd always, like, complain back then. It's like, all you cook is chicken. But, like, then we developed a taste. Like, we all really like chicken, you know? And so, like, yeah, I think that, you know, growing up in the same house together, you start to develop, like, the same kind of likes and dislikes.
Yeah. Going off of that, I want to ask you, so I get laughed at because of some of my, like, mannerisms. Like, for example, I will not leave anything plugged in, like, when I leave the house. Or, like, I don't leave lights on. Or I don't leave the TV on when I'm going to sleep. And it's, like, total darkness and, like, no noise. And, like, other people that haven't grown up like this, they're like, you're OCD about this stuff. And I'm like, no, it's just like how I was raised, like this is how it was. You know what I mean? And like, but you are so like, it's that way, like you're so particular.
Yeah, you are.
Do you feel like that happened to you too?
A little bit. Like when you said hair straightener, I immediately think of like when I leave the house for work and then I have that sudden panic attack that I've left my straightener on.
Yeah.
And I'm freaking out and it's not leaving my head and I'm having anxiety about that I left it on.
Yeah.
And there was a time where I was living out like, I don't know, 30 minutes from where I was working. And I was halfway almost to work and I had that instant panic attack that, oh my God, I left my curling iron on.
Yeah.
I legit had to go all the way back home because I was so just like, my stomach was in knots thinking, oh my God, my dog's there, my cat's there, if I burn the house down because of my curling iron being on, like I will never like forgive myself for it. And of course I go all the way back home. It's totally unplugged, everything's fine. But like I constantly have that anxiety that I'm like, I'm gonna burn my house down. Yeah. But like I know like I can't be the only one that does that.
No, you're not. I've definitely like, even like with the garage door, I'm like, shit, did I close the garage door when I left? I don't remember pressing the button.
Oh my God, but it's like hot sweats, like anxiety. And it will not leave my head until I know for sure. But it's like, how do I not, like, in that moment when I'm unplugging it, why does that just, like, black out from my brain and I don't remember it, and then I go into a sudden panic that's like I'm gonna burn my house down. Yeah, but and so, like, to, like, help cope with that, I have to say, as soon as I unplug it, I say, unplug the curling iron, unplugged.
Smart.
And it's starting to help a little bit, but I still get it from time to time. But yeah.
How about, like, when it comes to laundry, like, I guess I'm just accustomed to when I'm doing laundry, like, just taking it out and folding it right away.
Yes, yeah. I try to get into that because, like, I have my one spare room is basically, like, my closet. And so, like, I have, like, most of my clothes get hung up on, like, a hanger. But then I still have, like my dressers for, like, my sweatpants and stuff. But I always just, as soon as, like, I'm done with the laundry, like, I fold it, put it all back in the basket, and then put it back away. Do you do that too?
Yeah, and it's like, again, it's like, why are you so OCD? It's just like little things you don't even think about that.
No, it's just like become your routine over the years.
Yeah, and it's like maybe even just the way that you wash things, or like the way that you drive, like just little things. You pick it up from, like, you know, your childhood and your mom and, like, your dad and the way that they raised you and your brothers or whatever, and somebody else was raised completely different, and it's like you try merging those two, which we can go on to the topic of getting engaged because you just got engaged. And sometimes it's really hard merging those two when you're in a relationship and somebody like has a totally different childhood than you did, which you and DJ kind of did have that, right?
Oh yeah, completely opposite childhoods.
Yeah.
Totally opposite. And it's funny because like going, like when I first moved in with him, like I didn't know what it was going to be like, but I, you know, been visiting him, you know, going over his house and kind of seeing how he lives. And he was very clean, like very clean. Like I couldn't have gotten more lucky with him just being like that OCD, wanting everything clean all the time. But also when you're living by yourself, it's so much easier to like clean up. But yeah, going into it when I finally moved in with him, I felt like the dirty one because because he was so like spick and span and clean, and like I would leave like his weird pet peeve is like when I was growing up, like we would just, when we were done with our plates, we just put it in the sink. And he's like, you need to rinse the plate before you put it in the sink. I'm like, why? Like
I'm totally on DJ's side.
We just never did. I don't know why our parents would say, you know, wash the dish before you put it in the dishwasher, but we just didn't. And that was one of his like weird icks about me. Yeah, just like, you didn't wash the dish before you put it in the dishwasher. Yeah, because then the crumbs get all over the place, and then you know you have to clean out the dishwasher. Like what are the crumbs gonna do? Just evaporate? I don't know. Usually my mom just took care of it. Yeah. But then like when we started having to do the dishes as like a chore. Like, so I remember that. You had chores. That's a thing. We had a whole chore sheet, and like remember you and Ryan would come over for dinner, and then like it would be like, whose day for dishes is it? Yes. And we would always just be like, no. We try to pawn off that day. It was always like a thing. Like who does dishes, who's doing dishes? Oh my god, I forgot about that. And because no one rinsed their plate before putting in the sink, it was always that nasty water. Ew. And like, you know, when you're putting your hand in the dirty water and you accidentally grab a nasty piece of food and you're like, ugh. The ketchup. Yeah, or something. So I learned that the hard way. But I wash my dishes now. Yeah, but so you and DJ have been living together for a while now, and I'm sure you guys are kind of like accustomed to the way each other like live. You guys live and you've found a routine. Yeah, and we're pretty much the same. Like, we have our bedtime routine where we both like wash our face, brush our teeth, go to bed, you know. But I kind of like take over doing all the laundry now because he works and I have a lot more time, you know, at home than he does, and so I'll usually clean the house, do the laundry, and that kind of like mundane tasks. But we'll trade on who does the dishes. You know, if I've been doing it all week, like on the weekends he'll pick it up for me and do it. That's so nice. We have a good balance. Yeah, at least it's not like you have certain chores and he has certain chores and you guys don't like. Well, he definitely does all the outside work. Yeah. So like in the summertime he cuts the grass, but I'll help him. But yeah, he's the outside guy. Yeah. So I do all like most of the stuff indoor, like chore wise. Yeah. And then he takes care of that, which is nice. Yeah. I don't like cutting grass. Yeah, I learned how to cut the grass this year because I had a listing right next to my house and it was vacant, and I obviously wanted the house to show well while I was listing it, and so the only person that would cut the grass is me because I couldn't put that on my dad. My poor dad, like cutting 2 lawns for me. So I learned how to cut the grass, and it's not bad, but it's more of a workout than I thought. Yeah, especially if your mower like doesn't push. Yeah. Then you gotta really push it. Yeah. Okay, so how's wedding planning going? We've kind of been talking about it a little bit, but honestly, I'm not like a bridezilla. Like, I'm a very relaxed bride. You are. I don't know. I kind of had like an idea of what I want for my wedding. I want it to be very like elegant, and like I want it to be in a garden so bad. Yeah. Like I want like cobblestone. I want a garden with beautiful flowers. But the thing is, like, finding the right venue has been like the hardest part because I'm trying to do it this year and we've only been engaged for like 3 months, and so a lot of these venues are booked like a year out, and doing it in less than a year is a lot trickier than I thought it would be. Yeah. So I really haven't been jumping the gun. I just really been trying to find a venue, but on everything else, I'm just kind of waiting on that venue, and then like the dress shopping. Then I'm figuring out colors. Then like, you know, getting everything with like my bridesmaids and all that kind of like coordinated for like the bridal shower and then the bachelorette party. So honestly, I don't have a lot of details on it yet.
Yeah.
So we're really just kind of waiting until we can find that venue. But I'm waiting on one place. It's in Farmington Hills. And
yeah, you were talking about it the other day.
Yeah, it's so like everything that I want, and it has a beautiful garden, and you can get your ceremony there and have your reception.
That's nice.
Yeah, so we're just gonna keep it like small and intimate, like close family and friends. But yeah, just waiting to hear back from them.
Okay, so you haven't heard back from them yet?
No, because we're looking to have our date September 27th of this year, and so we're just waiting to hear if they have that date available.
Why that date?
I'm weird and superstitious, and so 2024 is the year of the dragon, and supposedly
yes, and I got the dragon on my arm.
Yeah, I got mine on my leg.
Yes.
But it's supposed to be like a lucky year for marriages. And then I was also looking up like lucky numbers, dates to get married on, and 27 September was one of those. So
no way.
Yeah, and which is a Friday, which is weird. Most people get married on like Saturday, but
Friday's not bad. I think Friday's good because typically the venue is a little bit cheaper.
Yes.
Because people are like working, so a lot of people do weddings on like Saturdays and Sundays. Well, not even Sundays because they have to work next Saturdays.
Yeah. So, but also too, like I think it'd be like awesome to like kick out the weekend being married and having the rest of the like Saturday, Sunday to like we celebrate just the two of us that we're officially a married couple.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like where my head's at with that. But yeah. So still in the works, but soon enough, I'm sure things will start just falling into place.
Yeah, I think the biggest struggle for everybody is the venue. I mean, like with COVID, everybody waited. Well, they got married in the backyard, and then
which honestly, I wouldn't mind having a backyard wedding.
Yeah,
like I don't know, like wedding culture, like it's really just blown up in so many venues. Just because they know they can get away with it, they charge so much.
I know. I need to get into the business.
Seriously, if you want to make some money, own a wedding venue, because those people are making so much money. And I don't want to go in debt for a wedding.
Yeah.
I was just talking to someone, and their cousin got married, and they went like $40,000 in debt. They put it all on a credit card, and they weren't even married for 5 years, and they were still paying on their wedding. You know, like how awkward that is?
I thought you were going to say they got divorced. I was like...
They did get divorced.
They did?
Yeah, they got married. In less than 5 years, they got divorced. God. And they're still paying on their wedding.
That's terrible.
Right.
I see. Okay, so before we were doing this, I was kind of looking up topics to talk about, and I really wanted to touch on like the wedding culture and talk to you about your wedding. And I was looking up like TikToks, and this girl was talking about, how crazy is this? Her maid of honor, I think it was her maid of honor, or maybe it was her bridesmaid, like just didn't tell her that she wasn't planning on like being in the wedding. And I think they went for like a fitting, like a dress fitting. And the lady that worked there, she was like, yeah, she called in and told me not to worry about the dress, like she's not going to be there at the wedding. And like she literally did not tell the bride at all. That's how the girl found out. Like the bride found out.
What? Because she just didn't show up? To the fitting?
She was planning on just, not going.
Oh my God.
So there's a girl that you and I both know. We worked with her. Well, yeah, we worked with her. She had like a terrible experience with her. I think it was her cousin was her maid of honor. And she too did not show up at the wedding.
Oh, what terrible friends.
Yes. And I'm like...
Did they have a falling out? Like, how does that just happen?
I don't remember exactly how it happened. But I'm trying... I don't remember. Maybe it was a falling out or something. But I cannot remember.
Oh.
But
you better not do that to me.
No, I'm not going to do that to you. But there are some crazy wedding stories. And also, this lady was giving tips for your wedding, right? Because it's all about, like, the photos and video that you get at your wedding. Because if it wasn't photographed, then it didn't happen. And I took some notes. How do you feel about kids at a wedding?
I don't don't mind kids at a wedding.
Okay. How do you feel about giving +1s out and someone just bringing like a girlfriend because they don't have a significant other?
That doesn't really bother me.
Okay.
I always think +1s should be included, even if you're not married, you know, because you might have a friend that is single and they want to come to a wedding and have a good time. Like, I'm all for that.
Okay.
What
because
about you?
I didn't know, honestly. I went with Chelsea to a wedding. Chelsea is the girl that we worked with. Not that girl that I was telling you guys about that had the bridesmaid that didn't show up, or the maid of honor that didn't show up. But it was one of her friends that she worked with at her new job, and she invited me to be her +1. And I was like, Chelsea, like, I don't know if that's rude to do that. Is that rude to do that? Because they have to pay for my plate still, right?
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know if they're wanting to pay for a random girl that they don't even know to be at their wedding. Like, I could see if it's a significant other, like, giving them a +1 so their significant other could go.
Yeah.
But if you're just bringing someone to bring somebody and it's an extra cost for them, like, is that rude?
Well, I think it's, you know, when you have weddings like that where dinner's provided, I feel like they're expecting that person to bring a +1. So regardless of who it is in relation to them, like, your plate's already paid for.
And then do you bring a card with money? Because you
Yeah,
don't even know
for
the
sure.
bride and groom.
Well, if you don't know them, I'd say maybe like, I don't know, 20, 30, $40, because that's essentially just paying for your meal right there.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
Oops.
Well, I asked like 2 people. I was like, am I supposed to give them a card with
I'd
money?
say, well, if Chelsea brought a card.
That's what they said. They were like, no, the person that was invited brings the card.
Yeah.
The +1 doesn't.
Yeah. I thought you meant like total, like,
Oh, okay.
if you were to contribute,
Yeah.
at least make it what your plate is worth.
Yeah, because it's like, I don't even know these people. I don't know. Anyways, okay. So then this girl gave an acronym, right? She was saying SMILE, right? So it's seats. So make sure you have seats reserved for your bridal party. Mm-hmm. So like when your bridal party or your family and friends, whoever is like walking down the aisle, make sure you have like reserved seats in the front, because if you don't, it's really awkward when they have to like scoot back and like find their seats. So she's saying like that's one tip, right? So this is the acronym SMILE.
Mm-hmm.
M is stand in the middle of the aisle, like when you guys are doing your vows. Like, don't go off to the left or the right, because like for the photographer, when you have like your first kiss, you want to be like right down
Dead center,
right? Yeah. I is for I'm looking, so something about him looking back at you, like right when the doors open for photos as well.
Oh yeah,
to capture that moment.
His first reaction. Yeah. Oh yeah, I love that on camera.
And then L was, so there's not an E, but L is long kiss. So don't peck, because then the photographer might not be able to catch the kiss.
Oh, a long kiss.
Do a long kiss, and then if you can even do like a dip, that's even better.
Ooh.
To like, you know, for the picture.
Yeah.
So
I guess you don't think about the photos, but you definitely should.
And then she also was saying, there was some other acronym, I can't remember what it was, but she was saying, like, make sure you don't have, like, any wristbands, like, on your wrists. Make sure, like, you don't have any, like, sock, like, lines on your feet, like, your ankles. Make sure you remember to take your engagement ring and put it on the other hand before you walk down the aisle.
Oh.
What else?
See, I know some like wedding culture things, you know, but like I like my old Erica, she is so good at knowing all this stuff.
Yeah.
And like I'm just not. Like,
well,
I want to be married. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I can't wait to be married to DJ. But I've just never really gotten into like all of like the old wives like tales of like how like things go when you're married.
Yeah.
Like, I grew up Catholic, and so like they have a very like certain type of way of like how you should be married. But I have not practiced Catholicism in years. So we're not getting married in a church. It's just going to be, you know, a ceremony with a little arch and stuff.
How did your parents feel about that?
They weren't weird about it or indifferent.
Good.
They're all just like, whatever you want to do, it's your wedding. You know, they're very supportive, and
that's good.
What I want to do with this. So, but
yeah,
I wish, you know, now I'm learning more and more about how things should be done. Like, I need to think.
But I gotta read up on this, because I have to be the one that's like, Make sure
yeah. Well, yeah, because you gotta have my back and everything.
Yeah, and also they're saying make sure that you are like fully ready an hour before you have to walk down the aisle.
Yeah, because definitely want to get some good shots.
Like
then.
Yeah, just so you're not stressing that you're gonna be late.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's all that I read from the time that before you got here. I'm sure there's like a ton of other tips and tricks, but
yeah.
What else? You have a style for your dress that you want, right?
Yeah. I really like the flowy, I guess not flowy, but I like the boho look, like with lots of lace. Like I want to have like the long sleeves. I think like an open, like low cut back would be really pretty, and then just kind of like almost like a mermaid, and then just flow kind of down from like my knees. So yeah, definitely like a very boho inspired wedding dress.
How are you gonna do your hair?
I guess depending on what my dress looks like,
Yeah.
because I feel like I would want it down, but I also probably would like love like a cute like half up kind of style.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd want it up.
Well, it's gonna be fall, so it's not gonna be super hot, so you have that luxury of like actually being able to wear your hair down.
Yeah, and I feel like I look like best when my hair is down.
Yeah, whatever you feel confident in is like most important.
Yeah, I'm trying to feel like the best version of myself that day.
Yeah, you want to feel confident at your wedding, and like the last thing you want is for you not to like love your wedding photos.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's like super important. Can you think of anything else, like any other topics that we were planning on talking about?
The pressure to have it all, balancing a career and personal life. I am not.
We can talk about that.
Well, I mean, I think it's great to have a passion for something and make money from it.
Yeah.
But I don't want my whole life to be revolved around my career. Because I really value my personal time and building like my relationships with my family and friends.
Yeah.
But finding like a healthy balance for both, I think, is important.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think like I had this preconceived notion that like by 30 years old, like you have to have your shit together. Like you're gonna have your forever career, you're gonna have your forever man or woman, you're gonna have your, you know, your forever family, and that is not how it played out at all. Like
Yeah, I think, when I was in like my mid-20s, I kind of had like a crisis. I was like, all right, what am I gonna do with my life? Like I'm already like 25 and I don't know, like I have like this job that I don't love. Like, do I want to be doing this forever? And then like music finally came back into my life again, and then that's when I really felt like happy about like where I was going. But I don't fully feel like I'm there yet. Like I feel like I'm just kind of getting my toes wet, and I want to stop living in the comfort zone and kind of like deep dive more into the music side of my life.
it can be scary getting out of the comfort zone.
Oh, it's so scary. And I've been in this like really nice comfortable bubble. Like I started professionally singing back in 2019. And I do like weddings and private parties and all kind of just like whatever cover band is needed. That's where I go. And so I've really gotten comfortable doing that, but I think the next step is like trying to write my own music. And like you have to be super vulnerable to write lyrics that are going to actually like reach people and, you know, have them feel like you're connecting with, you know, the public to actually have music worthy of like getting streamed. But I always feel like scared to do that because I'm a perfectionist and I feel like whatever I put out is not going to be good enough and people aren't going to want to listen to it. So I get that fear I'm not going to be good.
Like the imposter syndrome.
Yeah. And so I just don't do it.
Yeah.
But I'm getting to the age now where I'm like, I need to just do it because if I don't, I'm going to regret it. And so this year.
So what are the steps you need to take?
I never thought I was good at speaking or talking. I've never felt like I was good with my words. So I do a lot of I create a lot of melodies, like just humming different kind of melodies and like stuff that I just pops into my mind one day. I'll like put on my voice memos and record it. So the next step would be like actually like putting that music, creating it into like a software and then just sitting down and writing lyrics.
So you could do it at your home. You don't have to go to like a recording studio or anything?
I could start with that and like have a general idea of like the song and like a, you know, verse, chorus, bridge, and then kind of work with the producer to help me create like the sound that I really want, or, you know, what kind of genre I want it to be.
Yeah.
So that would be like the next step.
You know what I just thought of? Didn't you audition for one of the, was it The Voice or American Idol?
I auditioned for American Idol in 2014.
Yeah, tell us that experience.
So it was a very interesting experience. I was fresh out of high school, and my mom, she had always, you know, fully supported my music and me singing, and
Yeah.
I had taken voice lessons in high school, and so that was kind of like what I really wanted to do. I really loved that, and so American Idol came to Detroit. I think it was like season 14, and I got to, it was at Ford Field. It was like the mass audition where everyone, you know, puts in like their application. Yeah. And so we got there at 5 a.m. and waited in line outside for like, gosh, 6 hours.
Wow.
And then finally was able to get our way into Ford Field. And that was a long day, to say the least. So basically they put us in like different like groups, and it was groups of like 10. And so finally like my number was called, and so we walked up and there was all these different tables with like 3 different producers. And so all 10 of us stepped in front and sang a song, and I started with this Mariah Carey song. And then they're like, no, like, Mariah Carey, give us something else. And I think I did Bruno Mars. I can't remember what Bruno Mars song it was.
Yeah.
And so they're like, okay, thank you. And so they all, like, step back. And they said, all right, we're going to call out the names of who's going to move on to the next round. And so they called me and one other girl out of the 10. So that was a really awesome feeling.
Yeah.
But that was like just the smallest baby step into like this American Idol journey.
Yeah.
So after that, I ended up waiting. October was, that was like August. And then October, they were coming back to Detroit. And so I had 2 days of auditions there. And so it was just lots of rounds of like producer auditions. But I ended up passing all those rounds. And then I got to the celebrity round. And right before you go in, they have you sit down and you do like an interview, and they ask you about like how you're feeling and, you know, do you think you're going to be the next American Idol?
Like Ryan Seacrest?
No, not Ryan Seacrest. I wasn't lucky enough to talk to Ryan Seacrest, but it was just like a producer just like filming you, just like, you know, backstage.
Right.
And so then it was my turn to finally get in front of the judges. And at the time, it was Jennifer Lopez, Keith Urban, and Harry Connick Jr. And I was so nervous. Oh, my gosh. I don't think I've ever had more anxiety in my entire life than that day.
I bet.
Oh,
how was it to see them in person?
It was unreal. They don't look real. I mean, they look just like how they do on TV. They're just, like, so picture perfect. Like, J-Lo looks like... her skin is just absolutely gorgeous. Like, she's just a beautiful, like, human being. And so to see, like, her in the flesh and, like, that just, like, puts your nerves on an all-time high, especially, like, me then. Because, like, I wasn't really, like, used to really singing for people, you know, like I am used to now. But, man, I was so nervous. And, like, after I was done singing my song, it was Bruno Mars, When I Was Your Man. And, Keith Urban's like, yeah, you sound great. You got a nice tone. Like, I'm a yes. And I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. Like, I was already like, ooh. And then they got to J-Lo, and she was like, no. She didn't give me an explanation why. She just said,
I didn't know this.
No. You didn't know this? Oh
no.
My gosh. Yeah, she was like, no. I'm like, okay. Like, would have liked to know why, but I was too scared to ask. But then Harry Connick Jr., he was like, yeah, you know, you're young, and I just don't feel like you're ready at this time. And I can think he could tell because I wasn't. You know, back then I didn't have the confidence, I didn't have the experience, and so, like, even in my head, I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. like I was doubting myself so hard, and I think they can see right through you, you know. And so he ended up telling me no, and, you know, try again next year, whatever. So
shout out to Keith Urban.
Yeah, like he's seen that potential.
Right.
Thanks,
like
Keith.
if you still see that potential, Keith.
Yeah, if you ever stumble across this video. But yeah, so it was interesting to, you know, see the whole behind the scenes of how that kind of reality TV works, which is not really, I mean, you get genuine reactions, but, you know, it was a whole different style back then. You know, American Idol's changed so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was cool. And then I did end up auditioning for The Voice back in, I think it was like 2015. It was like a year later. And that was at, once was Cobo Hall, now the Huntington Center.
Yeah.
And it was just so long. Like, these are so long with those kind of competitions. Yeah. Like, now it's so much better because, like, you can just audition online.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And, I mean...
Would you ever be open to doing that again?
Yeah, I would. I feel like...
We need to get you on The Voice this year.
Yeah. I think their auditions are closed. Or, I don't know. They might not be. I haven't looked into it.
We should look into it.
It's been, almost 10 years since I last auditioned for a reality TV show.
Yeah, and imagine, like, now you have, like you said, all this confidence and experience, like, being on stage and performing for people, and so you're not gonna, I mean, obviously you probably might be a little nervous if you were in front of J-Lo, but, like, you're not gonna be as nervous as you were before.
No, and just the confidence thing, like, going back to that, like, if you have confidence, even if you don't know anyone and, like, people don't have any preconceived notions of you, like, you can just be anyone you want if you have the confidence, you know?
I remember you were interviewing Rilo Rodriguez this summer, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going over there and interviewing. And poor Kayla was next to you. She was interviewing too. And the girl, you could tell, somebody literally commented on our video. They're like, you could tell the girl on the left was nervous. And thank God Audrey can, like, hold a convo, because Kayla was like really, like, hesitating to spit out her question.
Yeah.
But Audrey's like, we're here with Rilo Rodriguez. Thank you for being here, Rilo. And he was like, you're welcome.
Yeah, I think what helped me in that is I didn't know who he was beforehand.
Yeah, me either.
And so I was kind of like, all right, just some strange, like, not a strange guy, but, you know, just a stranger that I've never met. So I don't know who he is or what he really does. So it was easy. But when you know who it is, like, if that would have been, like, you know... Justin Bieber or something, I probably would have been peeing my pants too.
Oh, for sure. That's happened to me multiple times, actually, in the past couple years, where, like, I've met somebody who was famous. I, like, got a picture with them, and I didn't even know who they were until I left. Who was the other guy? He was I think he was, like, Jay-Z's partner, and then I had, like, a big fallout. What is his name?
Is he a rapper?
Dame Dash. He was at District 78, and a ton of people were there, like, getting pictures with them. And I'm so embarrassed to even say this, guys. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking saying this, but you know, they were trying to wrap it up, and, like, everybody was getting their pictures, and I blurted out, like, I heard you're famous, like, I want to get a picture with you. And the girl that was with him was like, you heard he was famous? Like, I didn't know he was this big of a deal, Audrey. And the girl literally gave me the dirtiest look, and she was like, you think he's famous, or you heard that he's famous, so you want to get a picture with him? And I was like, immediately I was like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Like, that was really fucked up to say, Brooke. And,
you know, honestly, I think, like,
it came out as, like, a clout chaser, like, kind of.
Yeah, I guess I could see how it.
And so,
like that.
Yeah, I got my picture with them.
That's probably someone of his entourage that's, like, trying to defend him.
Yeah, it was.
Don't know who
it was. It was, like, somebody that he was with, yeah. And I felt really bad, but I have that picture on my Instagram. I think those were the only two people that I've met that were, like, super famous. I almost met, what's her name? Oh, Beyonce.
Beyonce?
What's her name? She was donating at one of the tech schools downtown, and I was going to be filming there, and we were thinking she was gonna show up for the donation, but she didn't end up showing up.
Oh.
And I didn't end up recording that day either. But
Oh,
she
that
had
was when she had a show here, right?
She had a concert, so we were like, she's for sure gonna show up, but she didn't. But I did go to the concert, so yeah. And then I went to you were supposed to come to the Lil Baby concert, which that's why Ryla was in town.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I ended up going, you didn't, but I didn't meet Lil Baby, but
yeah. This past championship game, the Lions, the second one, where we were going against, was it San Francisco?
Yeah.
Was it? No, it was
no, that's who we lost to.
Yeah, who was it? Tampa City.
Was it? I don't remember.
Or Tampa
Ravens.
I don't follow football.
I think it was the Ravens.
Yeah. Anyways, I was working in the suites that day.
Yeah.
And I was passing out champagne, and Taylor Lautner and his wife walk in.
Oh my god, I've seen that. Is he from Detroit?
That's a good question.
Because I've seen him, like, all over the Lions stuff.
Like, he fully, like, heavily supports the Lions, and I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah, I was like, is this man even from Detroit? I don't even think he's from Detroit.
But I love that he supports us. Like,
yeah. That would have been cool if, like, you ran into, like, Taylor Swift or, like, Alex Earl or something. If we were playing, you know, like, the Chiefs.
Okay, Taylor Lautner. Hometown.
He was wearing a Michigan.
Grand Rapids.
Yeah,
so
see?
he is.
He is from Michigan, so you got a pass. But yeah, I could have sworn he was wearing like a Michigan State shirt or something. And I was like, he's got to be from Michigan. But I never knew that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Until just now.
All right. Well, I think it's been over an hour now that we've been filming, so we'll cut it short. I know, this time goes by so fast.
Yeah.
So if this video ends up popping off, we'll see. Maybe we'll have to do a part 2.
Yeah, let us know if you guys like this kind of content from Brooke, and we might just do another one.
Yes.
Dig into our lives a little bit more.
Yeah, and let us know if you have any questions or topics that you want us to go over, because we struggled trying to find topics.
Yeah.
It went pretty smoothly, but
next time we'll have to get on socials and ask.
Yeah, I was going to do a live video, but I forgot, and like halfway through, I'm like, I'm not about to grab my phone. Well, I can't because we're using it for audio, so we have to figure that out too.
Yeah, next time we'll have to have my iPad and stuff we could bring.
There we go.
Yep.
All right.
We'll figure it out.
Peace.
Bye.